Shalom, family. Good to see you here. I hope you're doing well. Listen, this thing with Donald Trump, with these illegals. Now, yesterday when I was on live with LVZ, they were saying that Donald Trump was stopping mainly brown and black nations from coming here. All right. He put a pause out there for any immigrants coming from certain nations because it was somebody from Afghanistan that unalived one National Guard member, and the other one is still in critical condition. So he put that in place, but it goes a lot deeper. And I'm going to show you this ABC News video in a second where Trump just put a pause on asylum seekers. So the ones that are physically here in the US trying to seek asylum, he just shut that all down. So you can't come here right now, legally or illegally, and say you are seeking asylum. And quite frankly, I think Donald Trump is going to do away with all that asylum seeking. You know, I think he's going to do away with it. Because if he does, then that's a lot more people that will have to go in this country. And then plus, right now in Minnesota, they're just mainly going after Latinos. But they haven't really touched too many Somali, but I think that's in the works. Because number one, Ilhan Omar, a lot of people are upset with her because she won't say anything about all of the scamming that's going on in the Somali community in Minnesota and St. Paul. She won't speak on it. Number two, yeah, there are many of them living large, but y'all, they're living large off of stolen money they stole from the government. So yeah, they got big old houses and big fancy cars, but not from earning it, from stealing and scamming. And Donald Trump gonna get these folks out of here, y'all. He gonna get every last one of them out of there. And Ilhan Omar made a statement the other day, and she was saying, "Oh, well, they can't touch me. I am a legal U.S. citizen." Yeah, but you're not a constitutional citizen. And Donald Trump hates that woman. Do not be surprised if he strips her citizenship away from her. Do I think he would do it? Hell yeah. Yes, I think he would. You know? So I'm going to share my screen so you can hear what ABC News came out with. And then I have some other videos as well. So let me share my screen. Please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Thank you.
And the president now says he's pausing all asylum decisions after the shooting near the White House that left one National Guard member dead and another in critical condition. The suspect, an Afghan national who was granted asylum this past April after coming to the U.S. in 2021, now facing a first-degree murder charge. Investigative reporter Olivia Rubin has the latest for us. Hey, Olivia.
Overnight, communities in West Virginia held vigils for 2 members of the National Guard who were shot in the nation's capital Wednesday. U.S. Army Specialist Sarah Beckstrom was killed, and U.S. Air Force Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf remains hospitalized in critical condition. Now, an intense investigation underway into the 29-year-old Afghan national accused of driving across the country to commit this crime. Investigators are on the hunt for a motive. They are executing search warrants, including at the suspect's last last residence in Washington state, where officials say he was living with his wife and 5 children. Authorities say the suspect, Ramanullah Lockenwall, had worked with the CIA during the war in Afghanistan. He came to the U.S. in 2021 after the Biden administration's chaotic withdrawal from the country, but sources tell us he was granted asylum just this year by the Trump administration. But we're also learning more about this suspect more recently. One source saying he had been unable to find a job because he had an expired work permit. We're told he had become more isolated in the past few months and was growing desperate, unable to pay for things like rent or food. And the White House taking action in response to the shooting, the administration cracking down on who can enter the country, announcing they are pausing all asylum decisions and stopped issuing visas to travelers with Afghan passports. And things will look differently in D.C. too. The police department will now patrol alongside National Guard troops on the ground there, a spokesperson encouraging the public to remain vigilant.
Okay, many of you may remember Joe Biden after he ended the war over in Afghanistan. He allowed a whole bunch of them to come over here. In fact, they came to Fort Dix, New Jersey. That's where they were housing them. And some of them they put in Airbnbs, and the government foot the bill for them. And most of these people that came from Afghanistan were interpreters that worked with the U.S. Military as interpreters and helping them over there. And they got them out of there because people over in Afghanistan saw them as traitors. And they feared, their lives would be taken over there. And plus, remember, the Taliban took everything back over again. So anyway, so they brought them all in here back in like 2021, 2022, because some came during the time Biden was still in office, and he brought a whole bunch of them over. And, a lot of people weren't happy about that, but Biden, he didn't care what illegal came in here. He didn't even care if they had a criminal background. They let them all in here. So since the shooting of those 2 National Guard members, now Donald Trump is hitting the brakes on them coming in here, plus the one seeking asylum. I just have a feeling he ain't gonna let them do it. He ain't gonna let nobody seek asylum. And I'm sure, over the next few weeks, we're going to hear about a federal judge trying to block it. But lately, all he does, he just takes anything that gets blocked to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court always seemed to let him have his way. So I got a few more videos that I'm going to have you watch. But it is not easy for these foreigners to come in here anymore. It's going to become more and more complicated. Please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Thank you.
Yo, guys, Trump is not playing around. He says, even as we have progressed technologically, immigration policy has eroded those gains in living conditions for many. I will permanently pause migration from all third world countries to allow the U.S. system to fully recover, terminate all of the millions of Biden illegal admissions, including those signed by Sleepy Joe Biden's auto pen, and remove anyone who is not a net asset to the United States or is incapable of loving our country, and all federal benefits and subsidies to non-citizens of our country, denaturalize migrants who undermine domestic tranquility, and deport any foreign national who is a public charge, security risk, or non-compatible with Western civilization. These goals will be pursued with the aim of achieving a major reduction in illegal and disruptive populations, including those admitted through an unauthorized and illegal auto pen approval process. Only reverse migration can fully cure the situation. Other than that, happy Thanksgiving to all except those that hate, steal, murder, and destroy everything America stands for. You won't be here for long. So yeah, this is the version of Trump that a lot of his voters wanted to see. And I really hope he lives up to this promise that he made on Truth Social. So let's see what happens. Things are about to get very spicy in this country. God bless Trump, and God bless our National Guard, and God bless our ICE agents.
President Trump has declared that the US will permanently pause migration from what he called third world countries. His comments came after an Afghan man was accused of shooting 2 National Guard soldiers in Washington, D.C., one of whom later died. The suspect had served with anti-Taliban forces in Afghanistan, which were trained and backed by the CIA.
This would be a dramatic new step by the president, cutting off migration from an unknown number of countries that he deems third world. We have asked the White House for more details. At the same time, Trump is calling for a review of all green card holders from 19, quote, countries of concern, including Haiti, Iran, and Venezuela. And he wants a review of all Afghan nationals who were allowed into this country under the previous administration.
When you let the people come in by the thousands and thousands and thousands, they made a terrible mistake, but they were incompetent. Yeah.
Speaking before Thanksgiving dinner at Mar-a-Lago, President Trump slammed the Biden-era program that brought the shooting suspect to the U.S. Operation Allies Welcome allowed in about 90,000 Afghan nationals at the chaotic end of the Afghan war. Many of them, like the suspect, had worked with the U.S.
There was no vetting or anything. They came in unvetted. And we have a lot of others in this country. We're going to get them out. But they go cuckoo. Something happens soon.
Your DOJ IG just reported this year that there was thorough vetting by DHS and by the FBI of these Afghans who were brought into the U.S. So why do you blame the Biden administration?
Because they let them in. Are you stupid? Are you a stupid person? Because they came on a plane along with thousands of other people that shouldn't be here, and you're just asking questions because you're a stupid person.
That Justice Department Inspector General audit determined that the FBI played a critical support role in screening and vetting Afghan refugees, flagging 231 individuals on a terror watch list. Yesterday, the Department of Homeland Security announced that it would be reviewing all asylum cases approved under the Biden administration. A DHS official tells CBS News the suspect's asylum case was approved under the Trump administration earlier this year.
When it comes to asylum, when they're flown in, it's very hard to get them out. No matter how you want to do it, it's very hard to get them out. But we're going to be getting them all out now.
DHS says it has stopped processing immigration requests from Afghanistan while it conducts this asylum review. And now UN agencies are calling on the U.S. to continue allowing asylum seekers into this country and urging them to allow due process.
The Trump administration is ordering a review of all Biden-era approved asylum cases. It also says it will examine all green cards issued to people from certain countries. So let's talk about first what the procedures that we have in place now to vet these individuals and what could potentially change. I mean, aren't we already doing the vetting required?
Yes, that is supposed to occur. And just to level set, guys, this individual, the suspect in this case, arrived in September of 2021 and was paroled into the country. That is the legal mechanism that the Biden administration used on humanitarian grounds to admit more than 70,000 Afghans following the Taliban takeover. And they were supposed to undergo some degree of vetting in third countries, mainly Germany, Spain, Italy, the UAE, and Qatar, in military bases there before being resettled in the U.S. But there are two major limitations when it comes to vetting. The first one is that many countries, including Afghanistan, do not share or do not have access to criminal databases, documents, and other information that the U.S. requires to properly screen and vet immigrants from those countries. So that will inherently limit some of the vetting process. Secondly, vetting is a snapshot in time, meaning that individuals can pass security checks and avoid any red flags, but subsequently can become radicalized or disturbed, as it appears happened in this case, and that will always be a possibility, guys.
And there's still a lot this just happened Wednesday, so there's so much we don't know about who he was, how he was radicalized, and what that might how that might help prevent future incidents, right?
Correct. And it is really important to note that while this individual was allowed into the country by the Biden administration, as the president has rightly noted, he was granted asylum earlier this year under the second Trump administration, meaning that there were several opportunities for the U.S. government to actually rescreen this individual. And it is possible that no discernible red flags were raised and detected, and this individual was able to bypass that process and obviously commit this horrendous attack.
Let's hear happy Friday. America is about to face the biggest immigration overhaul of our lifetime, and we are going to experience here. Policies are shifting fast, and millions and millions and millions of people are about to feel the impact. President Donald Trump has announced a permanent pause on migration from what he calls third world countries. This is not a slowdown. It is a complete stop. That means no new green cards, no refugee entries, and no new immigration approvals. Indefinite shutdown. What does this mean? No one else is coming into our country, okay? Immigration applications from hundreds of developing nations will now not be processed. Green card approvals already set in motion are now being frozen and reevaluated. Refugee resettlement for most of the world is now completely shut down, and federal benefits, for listen to this now, non-U.S. citizens are now being cut off. These migrants are not going to get any more no more money from the hardworking American taxpayer. Okay, I'm all about that, right? It's completely shut off. And DHS is investigating asylum cases that were approved under the disastrous Biden-Harris administration to decide who stays and who gets deported. See, people don't understand what a negative impact that the last administration did by allowing open border policy, allowing people to enter our country. Many of them who are non-documented, now that are roaming our fucking streets, taking our taxpayer dollars, and milking the American system for their benefit. All that shit fucking stops right now. It completely stops. USCIS has been ordered to halt certain pathways immediately. DHS is reviewing humanitarian entries from, of course, the past administration, right? People who legally came here, okay? I want to say people who legally came here and started their lives may now have to prove again that they deserve to exist in our beautiful country. So this impacts everybody, not just the migrants who crossed our border during the last administration, last 3 or 4 years. This impacts everybody. And migrants who've been here for 10, 20, 30 years, impacts everybody. And what pushed this into overdrive? Of course, the shooting in Washington, D.C., okay? After this foreign national who was here on a resettlement program from Afghanistan, this piece of shit who came here in 2021 after the disastrous Biden withdrawal from Afghanistan, where he left $8 billion in military equipment to the fucking Taliban, after he attacked our two National Guard servicemen, and unfortunately killing one, Sarah Breckman from West Virginia, and Andrew Wolf is now in critical condition, still in critical condition. Trump got pissed off and said, fuck it, this is done, right? This is completely done. That was what he called the final straw, and he's shutting it down. And do you blame him? Absolutely not. I mean, these people fucking hate us. I mean, they fucking hate us. They're in our country. They hate us. I mean, if you're going to yell those 2 words and attack our military, shit's done. So this is going to impact all migrants, not just Muslims, not just Latinos, everybody. Do you agree with this or not? Listen, enough is enough. I mean, enough is enough, right? And he's had enough. Whether you agree with the man or not, he's looking out for the American people, and he's looking out for our country. And listen, I'm curious to see how this develops. This is a developing story. How he's going to put these policies in place to move them forward. And it's affecting all of us. It will affect all of us. So in one announcement, listen, America's changing. That's our president. We'll see what happens. Anyway, this is a developing story. I'm sure more news will come out as the day progresses. So I'll be back later on with each and all of you. Be blessed. Ciao for now.
Holy shit, guys. Talking about breaking the camel's back, President Trump just dropped a bombshell. He states he is permanently halting all migrations from a third world country and surging denaturalization and deportation of foreigners. Massive remigration, massively overdue. This is everything truth on his Truth Social. It's very long. First, he starts off by saying Happy Thanksgiving, but let's read the most important part out. On the bottom, where it's highlighted, it says, I will permanently pause migration for all third world countries to allow the U.S. system to fully recover, terminate all of the millions of Biden illegal admission. He goes on further down where it's highlighted. It says only reverse migration can fully cure the situation. Other than that, happy Thanksgiving to all, except those that hate, steal, murder, and destroy everything that America stands for. You won't be here for long.
Latinos for Trump, all you that have been naturalized in the United States can soon be denaturalized, if not by Trump, maybe a next administration. Trump, in a tweet last night, went on this rampage. I will permanently pause migration from all third world countries to allow the U.S. system to fully recover, terminate all of the millions of Biden illegal admissions. And I bet you Latinos for Trump love that. But remember, anything that this president does, the next one can do to you. So let's keep going, including those signed by Sleepy Joe Biden, and remove anyone who is not a net asset to the United States or is incapable of loving our country, and all federal benefits and subsidies to non-citizens of our country, which is a lie. Denaturalize migrants who undermine domestic tranquility and deport any foreign national who is a public charge, security risk, or non-compatible with Western civilization. Denaturalize. He's saying the quiet part out loud. People around him have been saying this. He's saying it now. Who is in charge of saying what is undermining domestic tranquility? The president? So a liberal president can get in there and say, oh, you MAGAs are undermining this? You got to go? Hello? Only reverse migration can fully cure this situation. So you still thinking you're a pick-me? Maybe in your circle, you all think it's not you. But when people from the outside look in, they look at you the same way that you look at those people without papers thinking you're better. Mija, it's you. Like, this whole timeline is nuts. And you thinking giving away your rights, allowing all of this stuff to like pass, you don't think somebody else can come in that's crazier with opposite viewpoints of yours, and you've already handed them all the keys? There's no checks and balances. Like, when are you guys gonna like wake up and think like, okay, maybe we should have more restrictions. Maybe Congress should like do their job. Come on, people.
Huge breaking news over the weekend, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I love y'all, appreciate y'all. I'm currently in Tampa, Florida, visiting my brother. He lives down here now. But to the breaking news, Trump just announced in a Thanksgiving post on Truth Social that he will permanently be pausing all immigration from third world countries. Now, I believe this announcement came after the 2 National Guard troops that got shot and killed by an Afghan national that was brought in under the Biden administration. I think that is what caused this post and what caused Trump to be more aggressive on his immigration and deportation agenda that he was voted in on. And he realized that he wasn't being aggressive enough, and that was losing support in his mega base. And so now he has paused all immigration from third world countries. And he actually ended this post by saying reverse migration is the cure to all of our problems. And I think he's talking about the affordability crisis, the housing market, the violence that we see in our streets, the fraud and scandals that we see that these illegal immigrants are using to get money and send back to their own countries. It has gotten way out of hand, and it's all because of Joe Biden and his auto pen presidency. And so I'm very, very happy that he finally has made a stance, because in the first 6 to 8 months, he was aggressive, but still trying to get along with everybody. And I think he's realized we are way past that point. His base, he was losing trust in his base, and he needs to get that back. And that is what he is realizing. And so I'm so glad he's actually going to do what we voted him in to do. Make things more affordable. Deport these illegal immigrants. Make streets safer. Make our cities safer. That is what he is doing. And he's finally doubling down on this. So let me know in the comments what you think about this update and story. And as always, be sure to share it.
Breaking news. Trump just announced a permanent ban on immigration. on immigrants from third world countries. This is in response to the devastating shooting yesterday, Thanksgiving Day, of 2 National Guard members. So what do we know so far? While there's no executive order yet, USCIS, the Immigration Service, immediately paused all immigration applications from Afghanistan, launched review of green cards from immigrants from 19 high-risk countries, and started immediately extreme vetting of these applications. This is going to impact immigrants from Afghanistan, Myanmar, Chad, Libya, Somalia, Iran, Cuba, Laos, and other countries. This is going to be pausing family immigration, employment-based immigration. Of course, some exemptions will apply, but even green card holders who are facing renewals could be impacted. For now, there's no official executive order. Definitely, if you're from impacted country, prepare for severe delay.
So this convenient development is unfolding. Trump vows to permanently pause migration from third world countries. So he said last night in a bizarre rant on social media that, quote, I will permanently pause migration from all third world countries to allow the U.S. system to fully recover, terminate all of the millions of Biden illegal admissions, including those signed by sleepy Joe Biden's auto pen, and remove anyone who is not an asset to the United States. It's pretty convenient, right? That there's an attack in D.C. that was committed by a Muslim immigrant. And then he, part of Project 2025 was pretty much to end any brown migration. They want to whitewash this country. They want it to be a white United States. The Great Replacement theory is a big part of that also. And not even 48 hours after this event, he comes out and says, no more immigration. No more immigration from brown countries, let's face it, right? It's all very convenient. So I don't know. Release the fucking files. Comment, like, share all the things.
Okay, so as you heard, and see, this is real significant because it's not something I spoke about when I was with LVZ. The thing is, none of them are safe now, y'all. Even the ones that got their green cards and got their asylum, they're going to be re-questioned all over again. So he is not playing. He going to be stripping the people that are here legally, and the ones illegally they all going to get out of here. That's what the goal is, getting them all out. So the ones that got their citizenship, you are not safe. You are not safe. They're saying they're going to come back and re-question people. So that right there tells you no one that's an immigrant in this country, and they don't care how long you've been here. They don't care how established you are. You're out of here. If they feel something ain't right, you're out of here. So, and you don't necessarily have to do anything wrong. If you notice, they did not say only the ones with criminal histories. They going back to question everybody. Curly Locks, thank you so much for your super sticker and support from my channel. So none of you are safe. None. So that means Donald Trump, see, they're screaming about ICE. He getting ready to go tenfold on these immigrants up in here. They don't know what the hell is going to be hitting them in between the eyes. It is really going to come down hard on them. Real hard. And really the ones that be getting the biggest brunt end have been so far are the Latinos, but you can rest assured they are plotting to get these other ones. They are plotting to get you. You're not going to be safe. And, Somalia, that's going to be really interesting because, see, some of them are living large off of stolen money. And I know they're going to snatch them people out of there and start confiscating everything they bought with the stolen money. They gonna take whatever they got. They gonna get stripped of everything and then thrown on planes and back to Somalia penniless. That's what they gonna do. Freeze your accounts, take your homes, take them fancy cars that y'all got, stealing government money, and they gonna strip y'all down to nothing and throw your asses on them planes and get you the hell up on out of here. Mm-hmm. No, they got one down there. You know where Latinos are? They are mainly on coastal states. They're mainly in coastal states, and North Carolina is a coastal state. Now, when you go more inland inside of the country, you see less of them. It's really not that many Latinos the more inland you go in the country, but on the outskirts in these states all around near the water, yeah, they're all up and down the East Coast. Hmm. You know, they tend to stay in states like that. But like the Midwest and places like that, you really won't see a lot of them. Hmm. Yeah, the Asians, yes, absolutely. So, y'all, it's about to get crazy up in here. It's about to get crazy up in here. Boy, you immigrants, legal and not legal, y'all gonna be in for a ride. 2026 is not gonna be your year. So, y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and conclude. Thank you so much for being here. And I have some already lined up for tomorrow. I will see you then. Shalom, family.